what I have purchased is 7608 test transformer made by Lenkurt, 10 Hz to 10 megahertz, and I have a flip, LF and HF, also HF and LF, which is, this one is S2 and this one is SA. We go to the schematic of it. We see on a picture in here one high voltage BNC connector in here, and the other one it's this. I put it to PL259, which is actually not PL259 because it appears to be a, hold on, 2-pin connector, such different one, and it goes to this adapter. And this adapter. This is how the adapter looks like. So this part is here. This is the original schematic of that, and I'm trying to understand what is going on here. So that's the schematic. We see the BNC connector in here, so that's supposed to stay for the high voltage. The double fleet, the switch in here, to two transformers, and then output, and this output looks like test plug. Oh, so this is the test plug. So we have one pin, second pin, and we have a ground wire. Says UHF, twin UHF. Now this is LF and HF in here, and I'm trying to understand also LF and HF here, and I'm trying to understand what is this about. This is in here I have just a part of the module that I showed before. This is that module. Dick, Glenn and John, some help if you don't mind. The scale is logarithmic, 10 Hertz to 10 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz to 10 kilohertz, 100 kilohertz to 1 megahertz frequency. This device was made for the army. What is the year of that? Just cruising. 77, something 77, possibly. So when I flick the switches, I go either to low frequency or high frequency. This clock, which part of that is not really missing, is there, it's just popped somewhere. So that's supposed to be a regular BNC connector, but for a high voltage. And some of the nice way that it was done for the output. Okay, this is the output, and the same way in here in the space, if you look at it, also for the high voltage. A little puzzle for you. And the numbers of the army are here.
Exactly, George. That's what it looks like. In fact, it looks like it has the, I don't know if you remember the old operator headset that had the two phone plugs. It was, I don't know, maybe about 1.5 by 2 inches long, and it had two phone plugs coming out of a 1/4 inch that used to plug into the operator. This looks very similar to this, and I've seen things like this used on aircraft, and it could be exactly for voice communications, and it's flat. It has a very flat coupling. And that sounds like he's got it right on the head because you've got a twin-axe connector, a PL259 look-alike with two pins. That's a twin-axe. And you've got a single-ended, unbalanced line going to a balanced line. So that may be an excellent description of what it is.
Lenkurt was often found in telephone company central offices. They made carrier equipment for the telcos, and by carrier, it was a frequency division multiplex system that would multiplex a whole bunch of voice channels. They were put together in a group, which, if I remember right, had 12 voice channels on it. The group would go into a master group, which was a group of groups, and then it had a super group, which was a group of master groups. And this cascading frequency division multiplex system could accommodate hundreds of voice channels on a twin axial line.
High voltage.
And Lenkurt was, one of the suppliers that made that kind of equipment, back in the days. So I suspect that the piece of gear that you're holding in your hand sounds exactly like that kind of equipment. If you can wait a minute, I'll see if I have some references to it. I have an old ITT handbook. See, I had some other comments. Yeah, the jacks that you mentioned are pretty similar to a 1/4 inch tip ring and sleeve plug with sort of an odd shape on them. And it wasn't really quite a 1/4 inch. They were skinnier. They were, instead of being .250, they were something like .205. And you couldn't put a standard 1/4 inch jack into them. And they were typically used for monitoring things. So they would often go to equipment like noise meters and stuff so that you could see what the circuit is doing without disrupting the circuit. John, back to you.
George, I believe it's a 760A is the model number of this device.
I assume you tried to Google it and didn't find it. Now, if you didn't do that, that's the first thing to do. But I do have an old ITT handbook over here, going back to the 60s, and I'll see if they mention such a thing in it.
760A brings up an awful lot of stuff that Fluke made also in Tektronix. I know I've used a lot of 760As, and there's a few things relative to military, which makes me believe I've seen this type of thing used on aircraft. So again, probably audio communications, but that's what we're looking at.
Well, again, it's not in front of my face, so everything I'm saying is sheer speculation.